Hi guys, it's Wombat, and today I am having a look at the UK and Republic of Ireland map. It is a 1:1 scale map for ETS2 version 1.31, and it is very much so a work in progress. It's a huge task for Chop World. It currently have, let's see now, Manchester, Liverpool, Sheffield, Birmingham Airport, West Bromwich, Wolverhampton, Coventry, Derby, Cannock, Rugby, Worcester, Hereford, Gloucester, Bristol, Exeter, Minehead, Weston, and then we come to the Welsh towns, and we're talking about Aberystwyth, Newport, Cardiff, Pontypridd, Bridgend, Swansea, Haverfordwest, Fishguard, Rosslare, Waterford, Cork, Limerick and Shannon. That's a lot of cities in a map that is on the 1:1 scale. This is Birmingham, and it looks decent. It looks like a proper city. And so far it is the only city that actually looks like a proper city. The other cities, and I haven't been to all of them, but I have been to 10 of them, consists of, in best case, a handful of houses. Quite often, unfortunately, just a couple of houses. So they're not really cities, they're just marks on the map that you may or may not be able to discover according to the game's way of discovering cities. More on that later. This is a first haul I did in Birmingham, so it's a very short one. Now let's dive into how you set it up and, of course, the pros and cons of this map. Since this is a 1:1 scale map, you obviously need to create a new profile. So you add a name for yourself, and I'm gonna call myself UK and ROI, something like that. And then you add a profile picture and a preferred truck design. Obviously it's going to be Scania, it always is Scania. Then you enter your company name, and before you press the create button, you go to the mod manager and add 3 files. The first one you add is the map file. Now the map file needs to be at the bottom. Then you add the fix file, and finally the model and prefabs file. Now it's crucial that you add them in this exact order before you click the confirm changes button, and then you change the plane module to Chop World, and then you press the create button. Simple as that. Skip the wizard, let the game load, then you select the headquarter, and I'm just going to go with the default, which is Birmingham. Confirm selection, skip the tutorial, and there you have it. Once upon a time, Chop World and his buddies were at the pub, and after a couple of beers, Chop World and his friends, talking about ETS as they always do, I'm just making stuff up here, but anyway, decided to make a one-to-one scale map of UK. How difficult could it possibly be? And here we are. After a ton of work, Chopwell has released a first version of the UK and Ireland one-to-one scale map. And I'm pretty sure he now understands how hard it really is to make such a map, because the task is incredibly big. And so far he's got a ton of roads in there, which I salute him for. There's not a version set for this first release, but if I were to set a version on it, I would call it a 0.1 beta, because yeah, there you have some holes and you haven't seen anything yet. There's a ton of bugs in here, but bear in mind that if this is version 0.1 beta, that is what you could expect. So from that perspective, the bugs are fine. And honestly, with this version 0.1 beta, which I'm gonna call it from now on, there isn't really that much more than just a ton of roads. And the roads you have here are, well, there's a few of these minor, smaller roads, but then it's mainly highways. And we're talking 3 lines in each direction, or at least 2. And there's not really much going on those roads. And since it is on the scale 1-to-1, you're gonna be hauling for hours between towns or cities. So be prepared to spend a lot of time in here, and also be prepared for the fact that you won't recognize what town you're in just by driving around in it. But without checking, I do believe that the roads are correct. Which makes me feel kind of sorry for the British people, because there isn't that much you can do but drive in a straight line on these highways. But I'm sure it's very, very safe for everyone. But as a trucker in ETS2, it's not that interesting, really. But when this map is moving up to version, say, 0.2, 0.5, 0.8, version 1.0, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to look at. And just how uninteresting it is, I'm going to give you a few glimpses of what it's like to haul for, say, 5 hours straight on this map. Now, if you think that was boring, that was just 5 minutes of hauling compressed down to 30 seconds. And that's life. That's one-to-one scale maps for you. And after hauling on this map, I think I have a better understanding of what is important when you're hauling on a one-to-one scale map. You are destined to be driving or trucking for literally hours on the same piece of road that goes more or less straight ahead. And that is fine. You get into this sort of bubble where everything else around you disappears, and it's just you, the wheel, and the screen in front of you that matters. And on that screen, it is important obviously to have a road, but it is also important to have something that looks like a realistic environment around that road. This is almost believable, except that I do think they in the UK as well as here in the Scandinavia have some sort of maintenance around the roads, so you don't have trees like this one again and this one on the road, and you certainly don't have things like this. A fence on the only highway you can drive on this map. There it is. A tunnel for absolutely no reason whatsoever, except someone wanted to build a tunnel. This is the typical highway you haul on. You have a single line of trees on each side of the road. It gets incredibly boring when it's so obvious that there's absolutely nothing behind those trees. Disappearing cars, something you see quite a lot of. Here's another fence on the, again, only highway you can haul on. I'm looking at the testers here. And there you have it. This is turning into some kind of a bug report. Traffic on... the traffic is actually on the right side of the road this time. That's happening over here, which gives some interesting problems when you go up on the other side of that road. Yeah. Then you have this, is this a line on the highway for disabled people, perhaps? It's huge, I must say. And here, if you look at my GPS, you see how it wants me to drive around and around and around instead of just going up here. And the obvious reason for that is that this road isn't really connected. Here you have a gas station that isn't working, and there's a lot of these. And this is, by the way, a 60 miles zone going in this direction. In the opposite direction, it's just 30. Here at the yellow line, I get a CTD that I can't get past. I have to teleport to the next city and then fly back to where I want to haul from. And here's the famous hanging gardens of Fishguard. There you have them. And here we are arriving at Fishguard. Actually the best town outside of Birmingham, the best city outside of Birmingham, I hauled in or to or from or through with some nice prefabs. It's a promising start for Fishguard. Little known fact about Fishguard, it's very famous for its ghost trucks. Yeah, that's exactly where I was had to deliver my cargo. So, but fortunately, ghost trucks aren't dangerous. And that almost completes my cons of UK and Ireland. I counted them. Over a haul, one of the hauls I did was, I think it was 500 kilometers, which is 500 kilometers in real life and time. So it took me about 7 hours or something like that, and I had 6 CTDs during that haul. That's a little too much, I think. And most of the haul was on highways like this, or with a single line of trees on each side. No traffic signs, absolutely nothing. Some light poles, but that's it. And it gets incredibly dull to haul in an environment like this. A lot more dull than I thought it would be. Obviously, the road itself isn't the only thing you look at when you're doing a 1:1 scale map, or truck on a 1:1 scale map. You need a sort of realistic environment as well, obviously. So for me, this 0.1 map beta isn't a map I will revisit again until it's up to at least version 0.5. The pros about it is, well, they did it. They have made a first version of a 1:1 scale map of a huge part of the UK and Ireland, and I salute them for that. I sincerely do, because it is a gigantic job, as I said earlier. And this is how gigantic it is. As you can see, I covered about 1/3 of the map itself, and I've been on here for 700 kilometers or so. So I would say it is about 2,000 kilometers, but that is 2,000 kilometers on a 1:1 scale, which is equivalent to 40,000 kilometers on a 1:20 scale map, which is the normal ETS map scale. That's a standard map scale. So 40,000 kilometers, that is a lot of miles. And with that said, guys, I'm gonna leave you with my favorite moment on this map. It's rainy, it's foggy, you can't really see the environment around you that much anymore, and I do believe strongly that that is the reason I was able to get into my zone when the weather was like this, which is a lot because this is England. And with that said, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope to see you again next time. Until then, take care. Bye bye.